But here we are happy to bring you a deck that we have not featured so far. We've mentioned a number of times because of its performance in Salt Lake City, though. We have Dominik Malicki playing the Reggie's deck.
And undefeated with the Reggie's deck, sitting here at 6-0. Both of these players should make into day 2, but only one of them, assuming, okay, if it ties, they're both in. But assuming somebody wins, that player will be into day 2 here. Arthur does look like he's starting off with that active Kyurem. Nothing terrifying in the prizes. There's a 1-1 Kyurem line. Loving that Drapion being prized. It's just in there for Mew, and it's not going to do any good to anyone in this matchup.
Yeah, we've seen some lucky prizes. We had the Espeons earlier as well, didn't we? And the Drapion on this matchup, not something he wants to start either, so he'll be very pleased that it's right up there at the top of his prizes. It's not going to cause any disruption this game.
Yeah, lovely. We see the Capacious Bucket there going and getting a couple of energy, and then we see the traditional turn 1 deck search, having a look through, going, right, what cards are prized, what don't I have access to? One thing you pointed out, and we were looking at the deck list before this game started, there is 1 copy of Collapse Stadium in Arthur's deck. Of course, the Reggie deck really relies on having all 6 different Reggies in play at the same time to activate Regigigas' ability. And sure, it's only 1 Collapse Stadium, but if it can stick for a turn or 2, that can really slow your opponent down. Guarantee that's one of the things Arthur was looking for.
Yeah, of course. We've seen lots of top players at Salt Lake City talk about the huge strengths of Reggie. He's got really good matchups across the board, especially as a 1-prize attacker, you know, that you're going to be favorable into those higher prize matchups. But the Collapse Stadium, a 1-card answer to try and stop the Reggies from doing the things it wants to do. And of course, it comes with its inconsistency, so maybe not able to bump the stadium straight away.
And that's going to be absolutely huge. It's hard enough looking for 6 individual Pokemon and getting a bunch of special energy in the discard. Bumping a stadium as well is just one more part to the pie. Now, Arthur here has absolutely nailed this. We went into the concealed cards with Greninja, discarding an energy, drawing 2 cards, one of which was Battle VIP Pass to go and get a couple of basics. So that is a good combo to see on turn 1.
Yeah, he's going to be very pleased with that. We continue to mention Battle VIP Pass, the best card you can play. It really does make you feel like a VIP. Hopefully he continues to sit pretty with this game, getting out that Orangu, the Pelkia. Orangu is going to allow him to draw extra cards this turn, and of course, setting up that Pelkia to try and get those energies down for that Kyurem at some point during this game.
Yeah, Battle VIP Pass really snuck up on us. I think it was a promo over in Japan, so it was one of those ones that didn't see a huge amount of play, because it was a bit harder to get hold of. And then there just came a point where everyone just went, wait, Battle VIP Pass is better than just playing 4 Ultra Ball. And now the majority of decks we see are built around using Battle VIP Pass. It is such a... It can only be used on your first turn of the game, and yet it is still at the center of so many decks we see around. So, we're over to Dominik here, and the goal is simple. 6 different Reggies.
Goal is simple. As you said, we love seeing all these different ones. My personal favorite, Regieleki.
Well, that's wrong, but... Regirock. Regirock is definitely the best of the Reggie.
Okay,
I feel extremely strongly about this.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, you definitely beat me in a battle if we were one-on-one, right? Regirock versus Alecki.
Exactly.
But I do. Regieleki, it's got that bouncy energy that I know we both have as well, and I really like it. Its attack, brilliant as well. That 120, 2 snipes to the bench as well, being able to soften up those Pokemon. But for now, we see the Ultra Ball, putting that energy...
Quick Ball.
Oh, the Quick Ball, yes, of course. Putting the energy in the discard and searching his deck for, of course, another Reggie. That's all he's going to be looking for this game. And, of course, the Reggie Steel with the air balloon ready to move out of the active.
Yeah, so you're going to go for Regidrago here. That's got a little bit of a draw engine. It's one of the things that makes Reggie work. You've got Regidrago having a bit of a draw engine, and you've got that Regigigas accelerating energy. We've seen, oh, okay, apparently it's going to be a Regice. Apparently I'm just going to look silly. But hopefully that Regidrago will come out soon, get a couple of cards. And this is what sets Reggie again apart. We've seen these themed decks a lot in the Pokemon TCG. Single prize decks have a very obvious theme. The 2 things that Regigigas has is primarily the energy acceleration, that's huge, but also that little bit of draw on Regidrago is also pretty big. Not like the energy acceleration, but it means that Regigigas can run. You can't really be playing any other consistency Pokemon. You've got to do it yourself, and oh, this is nice. We've got 2 special energy and an Ultra Ball in hand.
Lovely, yeah. For those of you who aren't aware, Regigigas able to attach energy from the discard to any of your Reggies any way that you like. up to 3 special energies in a turn, so he wants to get those in the bin as quickly as possible, get that Regigigas flowing with all of the energy in there, a lot of different choices, Aurora, Twin Energy, and of course the new Gift Energy that allows you, when knocked out, to draw up to 7 cards in your hand, another key part of the engine of this deck.
Very good for draw engine, and the catch, of course, to this phenomenal ability, you have to have all 6 different Regis in play. And I feel like Dominik here has just gone, oh, you think I'm going to get Regidrago? Just because you said that, I'm going to get Regidrago last. But Regidrago is definitely going to come out. It's got to come out. And this is the thing. This is a very, very good turn 1. Didn't quite finish off the way we wanted it. And it looks like we're actually going to see a Regigate here. Just going and searching out a Regi Pokemon. And it is, of course, going to be Regidrago. Dominik is set up beautifully for this turn 2 to really go off. It's not just the 6 Regis in play. There are, I think, 3 special energy in the discard.
Yes, there definitely is. There's that Gift, the Aurora, and the Twin Energy that is discarded just then. The other thing I really like about the Regis deck as well is that you place so much recovery in it for Ordinary Rod in the list, meaning that the Regis can continue to come back. So even at the point where this Regis might feel a little bit under pressure right now from a knockout, it's going to be easy as pie to get it back out.
Yeah, it's going to be very good. Now, one other thing that is on the board potentially here for, I think Arthur, is he not playing? Is Arthur playing an Empoleon?
Arthur is playing.
There is an Empoleon. There is always a possibility here, because Empoleon turns off abilities of non-rulebox Pokemon. So an Empoleon in the active could turn off Regigigas' ability and Regidrago's ability. That could stutter the deck a little bit here. Now, Arthur, of course, has gone instead for the Kyurem in the early game. We've got 3 energy on there with the Melanie, but that is something to look out for as this game goes on. If Arthur can potentially get that Empoleon in the active attacking, when we don't have much energy on the board, that could be a way that Arthur could gain an advantage in this matchup.
Yeah, just to add on to that point, Ross, a really interesting note about Dominik's deck here. You'd imagine with Empoleon V being a victim that could cause it some problems, there's no escape rope in this deck.
No escape rope at all.
So if the Empoleon's in the active, it's going to be very difficult for Dominik to do the things he needs to do during his turn. Yeah,
you basically have to just use boss's orders to get it out the active. Are there even any boss's orders in the deck?
Orders either.
No boss's orders. Okay, so there's no gusting in the deck. Am I seeing that right?
I would say no, it doesn't look like at all.
Okay, I've been playing the Pokemon TCG for many years, and in every format I've played in, you seldom see any deck with no gusting. That is a very bold move, but it's basically going, oh, now there is an answer, though.
There is an answer.
Path to the Peak will turn off Empoleon, so...
It most definitely will. 3 of those as well to turn off that Empoleon, making sure he has the answer when he needs it as well. But I think, as you said, no gust, something we don't see very often at all in the game. Dominik, though, feeling confident in the Regis that he can get through whatever's posing him a threat in the active. Currently 6-0. I don't think we can turn our nose at it quite yet.
No, Dominik clearly knows what he's doing. And it's one of those situations, if you can win the game without gusting, most decks put an average of probably 4 spots in their deck, roughly, into being able to gust their opponent's Pokemon so you can select what it is you're trying to knock out. When we say gust, we're referring to a card that brings one of your opponent's Pokemon into the active, so you can essentially select what you're knocking out or try and strand something active. And obviously that gives you a huge advantage. If you can go without that, you are opening up a lot of slots in your deck to use for something else. And it's basically Dominik's way of saying, I got 6 different Regis to attack with. We cool.
And so we see the Marnie here, obviously putting Arthur's hand in and making him draw 4, hoping to see the Registeel that obviously got knocked out last turn, hoping to see a new one, but unable to find it, not able to play that Professor's Research, the Professor's Oak, from his hand to draw more cards this turn. He has got to sit with what he has right now.
And this is the point you've made about Regis a couple of times, Benji. It doesn't always run like you want it to run. And fun little note here from Arthur, there has been no evolution of that Kyurem, and I don't think we're going to see an evolution of that Kyurem, because Regigigas loves Pokemon VMax. It hits 330 against a Pokemon VMax, and that is enough to get a KO on a Kyurem.
It most definitely is.
And that's a bad thing. Well, good for Dominik, I suppose. Bad for Arthur.
It's a 50-50 split on good or bad. But yeah, definitely. I think just the Kyurem V, the way to get through this deck the best. It's able to continue to just do 200, 210 damage there, 2 hits deck, but obviously not posing the threat of 3 prize knockout, because obviously the Regis is a 1 prize deck. It would absolutely love to see a 3 prize jump.
Absolutely, and I do just want to add to what I said about Regigigas. It does hit 330
With a band.
With a choice belt. That's very, very important. So, so that is absolutely, and Arthur knows this, right? Reggie, it's not a deck that's out there. We've actually started seeing the Regigigas played as a tech in other decks that aren't even playing the other Reggies, because it's sneaky great at KOing VMaxes. Arthur here, he's played an Irida, and we've got we do have Collapse Stadium in play, which is fantastic. We've got it looked like a second Kyurem, and I think that is how Arthur's going to go after this matchup. We do see a Lost Vacuum getting rid of the
Cape of Toughness.
Thank you, Cape of Toughness. That's gone away now. And I love how Arthur's playing this. This is basically someone who knows the metagame.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting points as well, we were talking about Pass to the Peak being one of the outs to obviously stopping Collapse Stadium and Empoleon. Dominik's already played one of those. Collapse coming in. Arthur realizing he's having a hard time finding that Registeel, and now obviously only one out because there's one prize. Only one path left to be able to bump that Collapse Stadium.
Yeah, that is not an ideal situation. Collapse Stadium, if Collapse Stadium can stick at any point, that is going to be absolutely huge. So that is something that Dominik is going to be trying to avoid, honestly. We do see Professor's research here, getting rid of those energy. Of course, the energy is great. We did have to drop a Regidrago there. And we've played a lot of recovery, but you want to just get all 6 Pokemon out and not have to worry. You don't want to be dropping just Reggies willy-nilly, because at some point in the very near future, Dominik's going to need a Regidrago back.
He sees the path off the Professor's Reach. He's going to be very happy with
That's
that.
huge.
It allows him to at least be in the game this turn. Obviously, we saw the choice belt come down on the Regigigas. Obviously not a Kyurem VMax yet, but that's ready to be utilized as well, if so. But the most important part, capture energy there as well. So Registeel could be accessible this turn.
Trekking shoes for a trekking shoes. Chooses to lose the Marnie. Was it a scoop up net? I didn't quite see what he grabbed there.
Didn't quite catch it there before it went in.
It was all very cheeky. I think it was a scoop up net. Yeah, there's 2 in hand. So we got a scoop up net off of that. It's not bad. We do see 2 Aurora energy in hand. We've got Poker Gear, but we've already played a supporter card this turn. So I'm not sure how Dominik's getting the combo off this turn.
I don't think it's possible looking at his hand now. Obviously, the one off Poker Gear missing as well, so that was his one opportunity to try and grab a supporter for next turn with that. But 2 Reggies missing and nothing to get them in hand.
No, still need the Registeel, still need the Regieleki, and this is worst case scenario. Now the good news is we can potentially go 3 full games here if the players keep up a good pace of speed, but a good pace of play, because Reggies can take quick wins and Kyurem can take pretty quick wins. You know, we've seen Arthur hasn't really done much this game. It's basically, hi, I've got a Kyurem with some energy on, let's do this. And it's been quite a slow game, honestly. But what more do you really need? We don't want the VMax. Empoleon, and I mean, Arthur is seeing at this stage Dominik's playing multiple Path to the Peak. And there comes a point where Empoleon is too much of a liability. So you just go for the the basic Kyurem and just go, you're not going to be doing that much against me. I feel pretty good with this Pokemon.
Yeah, and we see Dominik here, some really interesting play there. Uses 2 scoop-up nets on the Regis. Pick it up, put it down. Pick it up, put it down again. Regis going through a bumpy rise there, hand to desk a couple of times. But all of this done to attach that capture energy, get another Reggie down of his choice, and then, of course, try and use Dragon's Gift with Regidrago and hope that he draws into the final Reggie he needs.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Of course, we do have Registeel, which is a pretty nice counter against Kyurem. Or is it? What's Kyurem's retreat cost?
It is 3, I believe it's the VMax.
So, because Registeel does 220 minus 50 for each energy in the retreat cost of the Pokemon you're against. Obviously hitting for weakness. Kyurem V, you are looking at a retreat cost of 3. So
70.
140 with weakness. Even if you were to add a choice bout, you wouldn't be doing it. That would be 200. So Kyurem here, just an absolutely phenomenal attacker in this matchup. Even the thing that's hitting you for weakness isn't doing very much good. Just don't attach an air balloon by mistake and we will be fine.
Yeah, of course, that Frost Smash being really good, that 140 damage. Cutting through the Reggies, it's almost perfect numbers there. All the Reggies sort of sitting around 150 to 120 there. So between the Reggie and the Gigas being the highest and the lowest. So there's definitely variation for Smash. And the best part about Frost Smash as well is you can use it turn after turn. It doesn't have that classic text that we often see on basic Vs of you can't use this attack again next turn.
No, it's just a very vanilla free water energy, 140 damage. You are 10 short of getting Regigigas. That's a bit of a problem, but it will one-hit KO all the other Regis. It's kind of beautiful. And we do see a Palkia V-Star being built up on Arthur's bench here. I really like this. And the reason I like it so much is because if Arthur, right now Arthur's like, you know what, Kyurem's cool. But actually, Dominik has to, literally has to fill up his bench. So Kyurem is going to be a pretty good attacker. So if there comes a point where Kyurem isn't doing enough or Arthur is failing to get the free required energy on Kyurem, Palkia can just come in as a nice utility attacker and be like, oh, whatever it is, I've got it.
Yeah, of course. I think that Palkia showing how good it is all day today, winning a number of games. That Star Portal attack as well, allowing for Kyurem to reload its energy if there ever comes a point where it needs to retreat, for example, or anything like that. And as you said, the Palkia always doing more damage for a full bench. And Reg uses a deck that, as you said, is completely forced to do that. So there's no playing around that, unfortunately.
No, you cannot control your bench to try and slow down your opponent. It won't work. We do have Regigigas coming in here, but it's not doing enough. And Arthur is playing this game absolutely beautifully. Dominik is 3 prizes down. Arthur's already halfway to winning. And it's largely just been kind of attaching and drawing the odd card and then announcing your attack. It's because you're not really worried about weakness, which is one of the, Regis is great if hitting for weakness. Regis is great against VMaxes. But if you can get a Pokemon V or V-Star that is not being hit for weakness, then actually that can be a nice answer against Regis. There aren't that many of them out there, but sometimes that can do it. And here, ordinary Kyurem V, it looks like the kind of card which is really just there to get you to the VMax, but it's really not in this matchup.
Yeah, and on top of that now, Dominik has finally, the first time this game, got all of the Regis out together, meaning that Regigigas' ability is now live and active, able to attach those 3 energy from the discard to his Pokemon any way that he likes. Currently, the Regigigas in the active, he knows that Frost Smash can't take a return knockout from the Kyurem. I know we talked about that Palkia being able to come in and do that extra damage, but right now, probably his best attacker against this Kyurem.
Yeah, I think it's got to be. It's a really interesting situation. I mean, if you're Arthur, is it worth just going for the Palkia, knowing it's going to get return KO'd, but knowing you're going to be up by 2 prizes even after that happens? Maybe. I mean, what you don't want to do is give Dominik turn after turn without KOing the Regis, because every turn you leave them with 6 Regis on the field is a turn where they've got access to that amazing ability, and they can just get all of their energy out, set up multiple attackers. And if all Reggie needs to do is just get a single Reggie, but I've already got the energy, we're fine, that's when Reggie gets really scary.
Yeah, of course. We've said a number of times, the deck itself has its inconsistencies, and it sometimes struggles to get into the game. But once it's in it, as you said, once those energy are down, you can set up multiple attackers, and even more so if you're hitting for weakness, you can really put your opponent under a hard time, because they've got to take 6 knockouts in this matchup. There's no quick route to victory. They've got to go through 6 separate Regis.
Yeah, and that's always awkward when you've got to take 6 individual KOs. And it really is a bit of a prize race. One of the reasons Reggie is so good is because of the prize race. You are often taking multiple prize KOs while giving up 1. Arthur here, we do still see the Kyurem in the active, and we've actually got Boss's orders grabbing the Regidrago. I love this. No mucking about, no retreating. Still going to get a KO. Still going to take a Reggie off the board. Taking the Reggie off the board that provides a little bit of a draw engine. I really like this play from Arthur. Going down to 2 prizes remaining. And at this stage, if Arthur just sets up 2 Pokemon that can KO Regis, that's basically it.
Yeah, I think one of the other really important notes is as well, Arthur's playing this really smart. You can see that Dominik's hand is not great. Obviously, he's just top-decked the Professor's Research, which undermines it a little bit. However, not activating that gift energy, allowing him to draw up to 7 cards again, he was trying to keep Dominik sort of in a bit of a submission there, hoping that he couldn't get out of this again with 2 cards, and the Kyurem could continue to knock things out. But again, top-decking the Professor's Research is really good for him here.
Yeah, that really helps. We do see an ordinary Rod here getting back the 2 Regis. Absolutely vital here. Of course, not really any basic energy. That is not how Reggie rolls. You want special energy, and you want it in the discard, not in the deck. I'm just looking at Arthur's side of the field. There's no V-Star power been used yet. So I think Arthur is as good as winning in this game, because if Dominik KOs the Kyurem, Arthur can V-Star power, free energy on the Empoleon. That can take a KO. We've got Palkia 1 energy away, and really Arthur needs to attach. I think Arthur just needs to attach 1 energy in the next 2 turns to take this game home.
Yeah, I think Arthur's just really nicely gone through the motions this game. I think we can both attribute how much skill it still takes to not overextend. Sometimes you can see that you've got the win and you want it quicker. Maybe you overextend, play things not in the correct order, and you can mess it up. But Arthur gone through the correct steps. He's played it well, played it safe as well, and this Kyurem has really carried him through this game. But as you said, it almost looks wrapped up on his side of the board. He just needs to keep calm, keep the game plan in mind, and not overextend.
No, we do see energy on the Reggie. There's energy on the Regieleki. And it's kind of like Dominik setting up for what we know is going to happen. And the thing here is, we're going to see the Palkia go in the active. I imagine this will be the turn for the V-Star power, get 3 more energy out on the field. And, I mean, I imagine they're going to go on to the Empoleon. It could be onto another one. I actually like taking, and now I know Empoleon doesn't do enough, I would like Arthur to take the KO of Empoleon if possible this turn, because then you're also turning off the ability. Unfortunately, there's already 2 Reggies fully built up. It's a moot point here. It is literally just, do you have 2 Pokemon that can attack? You already know Dominik is going to return KO the Palkia with Regieleki, so if you set up that Empoleon to return KO, that forces Dominik to either lose or completely change their plan.
Yeah, I think another important note here is that both the Pokemon remaining on the field are weak to Electric. So obviously that Regieleki being able to prove its worth here if Arthur finds himself in a position where he can't close out the game. But I think with Star Portal still left, obviously still a lot of access to his deck through the use of supporters, obviously his quick balls, getting down other attackers as well. He should have enough to carry him through, as Dominik still has 4 prizes to take.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you made a good point there. There is 1 turn of grace. If Arthur gets a KO this turn and next turn, he wins the game. Nothing Dominik can do. If he whiffs 1 turn, we are definitely going to see. We see the Marnie coming down here. You know, Dominik can take 2 KOs in a row with Regieleki. But what I just noticed there, Arthur just attached an energy, played a Marnie, did not use Star Portal. So in theory, Arthur's got game on board at this stage.
Definitely, and dropping that other Palkia V. Even if the one at the front goes down, you can just drop that and attach the 3 energy afterwards. We can see 1 in the discard already, definitely. 2 on the Palkia, so you definitely have 3 in there if the Palkia in the active was to go down.
And if the Palkia doesn't go down, you just attack with it and win.
Anyway. So
I think Arthur's set up beautifully. In the second game in a row, we've seen a really measured, what I call slower, maybe more controlled is a fairer way to put it, but a really kind of, this is how I play the matchup. I'm not rushing, I'm not overextending, I'm not wasting resources. This is the best way to play out this particular matchup, maximize my outs, and it is working.
Yeah, sometimes calm and careful is the best, and it's definitely shown its worth here with Arthur. Just taking his time, not gone for anything flashy, just going for the most consistent attacker and doing his thing. And the Palkia here does use the Star Portal. The 3 energy coming back out of the discard. Where are they going to land? All 3 on the Palkia, being able to use the basic V's attack as well, which should be able to take him that knockout next turn.
It doesn't really matter. It could have gone on the Empoleon. Empoleon KOs most. Empoleon does 130, right?
Yes.
So Empoleon KOs most of them anyway. So yeah, it goes on the Palkia. It doesn't really make a difference. The important thing here, very simply, is that there's going to be a KO. And I actually do like the Palkia does 200 with Hydro Break, just in case Dominik does go with something.
And the prize is being laid out. One of those gift energy, there's only 2 of those in the deck, so that's pretty relevant straight off the bat. 1 ordinary rod and 2 scoop up net.
Not ideal. I do have to correct you slightly. There was 1 judge, and then we have one of our stream team members there, kind of helping us out with various things there as well. So we've got a lovely team here. Everyone's helping us out. Everyone's making us look good, which makes me very, very happy indeed.
And we do have to make us look good, so anything that helps.
We do have 1 stream judge there, one of our lovely Pokemon professors, who is making sure everything is happening above board. So it looks like Dominik will be going first. We do see a path to the peak early on in the game here. Doesn't really affect Dominik, might hurt Arthur. Arthur's actually started with Kyurem V again. And let's not forget Kyurem's first attack, which lets you attach as much energy as you like, which can get that rolling quickly. Dominik needs a quick start here.
Yeah, if it's in hand, it'll end up on the Kyurem, I'm sure, just get up to that 3 energy attack for 140, as we saw cutting through those Reggie like a knife in butter last game. And he's going to be pretty happy starting that again.
Yeah, it's going to be the preferred attacker here. Empoleon looks really good, but you build in the weakness to Path to the Peak, the literal weakness to Regieleki. And actually, Empoleon, although it absolutely has utility and can be a good attacker, I think we saw in the last game that Kyurem V is just a better option. So we do see Dominik go in there, getting the Regigigas down. It looks like we're going to have a capture energy attached to it, which means he can go and search another basic Pokemon.
Now, I think this is a little bit better of a turn than he had last time. Obviously, Registeel stuck in the active last game. That's not so much the case here. His Regigigas is able to get another Regieleki. He's got still a Professor's research in hand, so he's able to play that down as well. Getting rid of 2 special energy, and Aurora, one of the ones you want to see in the discard the most, allowing you to use some of your different type Pokemon, and then, of course, the Twin Energy. So next turn, he's going to really be able to activate his board.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to be the goal here. That's got to be what you're aiming for. I mean, for Arthur, Capacious Bucket. Find some Capacious Bucket. Because for 1 energy on the Kyurem, you can then attach as many energy as you like. We do see a turn 1 Battle VIP pass. That is wonderful. Getting a couple of basics. We did see Radiant Greninja and Oranguru last turn. And if Arthur's just trying to get the energy out, maybe they're the options. Or a Palkia.
Or a Palkia. It seems like every time you say it, he goes to something different. He's playing games with your ass. But no, I think that as long as on this turn that Kyurem is able to put itself in a good position to get energies, Arthur's bench Pokemon sort of end up the same by the end of the game. I think he needs sort of a second attacker through either the Palkia or the Empoleon, as you keep mentioning. So as long as he's able to build up there quite quickly, it'll flow in the same way. The other thing that he's got to be wary of is the Regieleki's hit the board a bit earlier this game. Obviously, we know that the Professor's Research is in Dominik's hand, those 2 special energy. So the Palkia on bench may start to cause a little bit of problem if it does have to come into the active a little bit earlier than he wants it to. But Arthur may now know that there's no boss in Dominik's deck.
Okay, and I just want to point out, it finally happened. Just went and got the 2 I suggested. It's nice that they're finally listening.
It's nice. It's nice. Definitely. Can they hear us? I'm just checking. No, I don't think they can. But yes, definitely the Greninja hitting board. I think that's probably the right decision. It allows him to get those water energy in the discard, allowing Melanie to become active, and of course, grabbing 2 more cards from the top of his deck.
Yeah, we saw in game 1 that the early game here is nice and simple. If you can just have that Kyurem taking prizes in the early game, it makes everything so much easier. So, I mean, this is not actually so bad. There's 2 energy in hand, so you can attach 1, use the attack to attach a second, and then you're 1 energy away from attacking next turn. And we've got a second Battle VIP pass. I'm going to let you figure out what the basics are this time, Benji.
Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe a secondary attacker, maybe a Palkia V here. But I don't know if it's correct to get anything else. Maybe another Oranguru to draw a little bit more off the top of the deck. But I quite liked Arthur's board last game where he sort of put down his other attackers a bit later on. I would say maybe a Palkia V here. But his hand, he's got 2 in his hand already. So yeah, so nothing off the Battle VIP pass. I was skeptical there at first, but I think he made a good decision there.
I like this because you don't want the card clogging up your hand, and sometimes you don't want anything but just taking a second, looking through your deck, having a think, and in the end you decide, no, you know what, I'm good. But at least you've had that talk with yourself where you've kind of figured out, no, I don't actually need anything. I think I'm doing all right. So I like that play from Arthur there, and it looks like, yeah, it's exactly what we expected. Attach an energy, use your attack, attach a second energy. You would have liked a third, but you're now 1 energy away from attacking. And we see that a lot today already.
Yeah, that rapid freeze really proven its worth. I think as well in not necessarily the Reggie matchup, but some things where you need to hit that higher damage. If you think your Kyurem can survive, it's quite cheeky to get a good few energy on it, so you're not that reliant on hitting any other energy the next turn. And that Professor's Research, getting the 2 special energy we mentioned in the discard, drawing into a Registeel. I can see another Reggie Ice in Dominik's hand, but no other Reggies thus far.
We need Regirock and Regidrago, and unfortunately neither of them are actually appearing as it stands.
Quick Ball in hand with the Aurora Energy will get access to 1 of them.
And Aurora Energy, we didn't mention it before, let's mention it now. Aurora Energy, when you're looking at energy to get in the discard to accelerate with Regigigas, Aurora Energy is number 1, because that is the only energy you're generally playing, other than a bit of Speed Lightning, is the only energy that can pay the coloured cost in all these Reggie's attacks. Regigigas doesn't care And Regielekki's got speed, lightning energy, but if you want to be using things like Regirock, like Regice, like Registeel, those Aurora energy become really, really important. They're generally the ones you want to go for. It looks like we've got a gift energy on the active, so Dominik looks like he's going to just be passing over. Oh, no. Why would you pass when you could Regigate for a Regirock?
That's one of the really cute parts of this Regi deck. I think that obviously, by the looks of things, the Regice or something else, if there's any Gust, might go down this turn, but at least you still have 5 Regis by the start of the next turn. And of course, that gift energy, really nice for us, drawing his hand back up to 7 if there is a knockout this turn.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame that you didn't get to use the ability of Regigigas, because obviously you end your turn by getting the Regirock. But you're still putting yourself in a good position. You're only going to need a Regice. And actually, we know there's a Regice in hand. And there's going to be the gift energy activating. So Dominik is looking to have a much faster start this game than we saw last game.
Yeah, he's going to be happy with what he's seen so far, especially compared to the slower turns he had in the first game. Arthur now opted into quick ball, getting rid of one of those Palkia Vs. One of them already benched now. So he has the backup attacker and that star portal available to him at some point during this game, I'm sure. And then searching for another basic Pokemon as well.
Yeah, I mean, the priority here is a water energy. You really want a water energy. You can use Star Portal if there's any in the discard. It's not really what you're looking for. Is he using Star Portal now? No, there's not even in the discard. That is not what we're looking for. So we're seeing a bit of a flick from round 1 here. Dominik's having a much faster start than Arthur. All he needed was a third energy, and we'd be seeing Kyurem going through. That's not happening. So now we see Regice coming in doing, no, maybe, doing a little bit of attacking. And I like this because that means that, wow, that Pokemon V is not going to do much next turn.
No, I really like this as well because, as we can see, Path to the Peak is still in place. So Arthur currently not able to Star Portal any energy to his Greninja. The only current, I would say, large threat on Arthur's side of the board to the Regis. Obviously, it has to discard 2 energy every time it attacks as well, which isn't great. But the Regice forcing the Vs to be unable to attack it the next turn. They're going to have to find a way to move about.
Yeah, and the thing about Regice is, it's only the defending Pokemon V. What that means is that if Arthur could get the Kyurem in and out of the active, it does look like we have got a scoop. I kind of like this from
like a hawk, wouldn't you? Shooting it from the other side of the board with everything you could. But again, from Arthur, a couple of different Pokemon in the starting hand, a Palkia, an Empoleon, and a Kyurem V, and of course, he opts for the big man again.
Yeah, 3 games in a row, Arthur starting with Kyurem V. Does not take a genius to figure out. Arthur wants that Kyurem V in the active. Oh, and I like Capacious Bucket turn 1. This is very, very nice. What would be ideal for Arthur is a Melanie turn 2. Because that way, Arthur can get free energy and attack. You don't mind, if you go second, having the attack that gets the energy on and then attacking turn 2. That's fine. But if you go first, you do not want to use that first attack. If you go first, you want to get energy turn 1, energy Melanie turn 2, and just be running through those Regis. Yeah. You've got to play pretty fast to finish out this game, or this match, I should say.
Yeah, I think we're going to be trying to see Arthur see Frost Smashes from as early as turn 2 here. Again, the Battle VIP pass. He's been very consistent hitting these in these 3 games. The Palkia V now coming to the front of the hand, and the Greninja. We've seen them both hit the board. Arthur maximising his chances here of being able to see a Amani or a Star Portal next turn, wanting to make sure he gets those energies down on the Kyurem as quickly as possible to start this game, as you were saying.
And that is important. Sometimes you have to approach game 3 a little bit differently. If you are short of time, sometimes you actually need to just play slightly differently, a bit more aggressive, not quite as considered, because it's the only way you're actually going to finish off. Now, we do see Radiant Greninja getting rid of an energy here. I love this. Now there's an energy in the discard ready for Melanie if Arthur can find it next turn.
Yeah, it's great. And we see the Oranguru. It's paid off a couple of times for Arthur so far. Being able to change a card from your hand with the top card of your deck, a really, really nice ability. We saw Tord utilize it as well in Peoria. A card with a lot of uses, and also protection from Marnie, which I think is a point a lot of people don't, talk about very often. Dominik playing quite a few counts of Marnie as well, so that's really nice if he wants to protect a card in his hand.
Yeah, you can put a card from your hand on top of your deck with Oranguru, and then if you get Marnied, you draw it. So, you want to get rid of my boss's orders? It's on top of my deck. Go on, Marnie you. If you Marnie me, I get it. If you don't Marnie me, I draw it next turn. Either way, I'm good. No, that's an excellent point there, Benji. It's something that a lot of the top players do of Oranguru that is a really important part of the puzzle.
So I think we see quite a solid turn here from Arthur. I don't quite know if he was able to see the Melanie in hand by the end of his turn. We do see the wash energy come down, meaning he only needs 2 energy next turn. Now, you can either get these through Star Portal or Melanie on the next turn, being able to set that up. And we see the Hisuian Heavy Ball, which is the main factor of this matchup. We were a bit concerned at the start of the game with the prize card, but the Regigigas being able to escape early, luckily hitting that card on his first turn.
Yeah, that is huge. If you're playing a one-off item card, you do not always see it early in the game. Reggie's, it's not a deck with a huge amount of draw. It's very much a traditional using things like Professor's Research to draw. So it really can take a long time to hit that one-off Hisuian Heavy Ball. Getting it nice and early is such a big thing for Dominik. Now it's less of an issue. Sure, there's still a Regigigas in the prizes, but he's got 2 available, 1 on the board. You'll be fine.
I think the best thing to note as well is Dominik hadn't yet done a deck search, so when he flipped over those cards, he probably had a wipe of the brow, like, oh, this could have gone very differently had I not have seen that card. So probably very, very happy to see that, because he definitely could have played a little bit aggressively, benched that Regigigas without really noticing that they were prized. So I think he's thanking his lucky stars right now that he was able to see that very early on.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very important point. So we're having a look through here, seeing what exactly it is Dominik is looking for. And it looks like it is finally the early Regidrago. Now I'm happy, Benji. That's a good thing. I love early Regidrago. It gets you extra cards.
Of course, and getting extra cards, as we know, is one of the best things you can do in the game. The quick ball for your aura energy as well. That's also what we want to see. You might even get to see Regidrago do a couple of attacks here, Ross. We were talking about those colourful, should I say, attack costs, that aurora energy being able to fill that role. One of them in the discard already.
Yeah, that's very, very nice. We love this. So now it looks like we're lining up a Regieleki and a Regice. So Regice comes down. I don't think we've got the full Wombo combo yet. I believe, are we 1 Reggie short? 2 Reggie short.
2 Reggie short. There is a Marnie in hand as well for Dominik.
Has he played a support this turn?
Don't believe so. I think it was just the Hisuian and the quick ball so far.
So Marnie could potentially get him over the hump here. And I mean, Reggie can have like ridiculous turns. You can go from nothing to 6 Reggies, accelerate 3 energy, smash, all on the same turn. It's always a great thing when you can pull it off. Here does come the Marnie, and this is going to be very good if Dominik can just get what we're looking for. Regirock and Regieleki.
Steel, Lecky.
Steel's in the active. We're looking for Lecky.
No, Lecky, you're right.
We're looking for Leggy and Rock.
I was confusing your favourite Drago, both yellowish.
We actually get none of them there, just funnily enough, the 1 Regigigas that was in the deck gets drawn into. So, are we going to see a Regigate here?
Could see a Regigate with that gift energy as well. Probably the best thing you can be Regigating with as well. We keep mentioning that gift energy, really nice. Being able to draw up to 7 cards in hand.
We've already got capture energy.
Down as well.
I agree with you. I think gift energy would be amazing. But as much as it would be fun to get those cards if you get KO'd, you have put the Cape of Toughness on, which is sneaky brilliant here. Because Kyurem hits 140 and Red Steel's got 120. Cape of Toughness goes up to 160, and all of a sudden, Kyurem's actually out of range, but maybe there's a reason why that Palkia is sitting on the bench.
I think for the first time in this game, the Reggies can finally go no to the Kyurem. I think the Kyurem has been playing games with them so far, and it must be nice for Registeel to be able to hang around just for one more turn at the minute. The Melanie is in Arthur's hands. We are able to see that player you were talking about earlier, Ross, being able to set that Kyurem. Turn 2 for those Frost Smashes.
So now the question is, can you get something off the bench? You don't really want a 2-hit KO a Reggie. That's not good. I mean, if we're playing, is there anything like a one-off Lost Vacuum in the list? In this particular list, I'm not seeing. Yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
So there is a very cool play, which I've done in many different formats here, where you hit for 140 and then just ignore it, and then at some point you Lost Vacuum away the Cape of Toughness, and then the HP reverts to 120, and it's an instant mid-turn KO. I've done that in many formats and many different Pokemon and many different tools, and it's always a fun play. That is an option. Again, getting that one-off item card is awkward, but that is something that Arthur could play with here that I would personally find very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's always very, very cheeky to do. I remember fighting Fury Belt was a key candidate for that to be happening all the time. But yeah, I think that might be something Arthur can do. And as well, definitely able to access a 2-prize turn then. As we said, having to get through all 6 prizes can be a bit of a slog for some of these 2-prize decks. But if he has access to that at any point, there can be a turn where he really pulls ahead.
Yeah, no, I like this. I mean, I'd rather see Alpha take a KO, let's be clear. As much as I love the cheeky lost vacuum play, it's not something on which you should be relying. Having said that, maybe an Irida's what gets you there, because that does search you out individual item cards in a way that most decks can't do so easily. We do see Irida and Oranguru being eyed up there, so that kind of gives you... It's always interesting to see what they're putting to the front of the deck, because even if they're not getting it, it often gives you a bit of an insight into what the player's thinking.
Yeah, I think a really important thing to look at here as well is that Arthur's been under path a few times during these games, meaning that he hasn't had access to his star portal very easily. Now, he has an option here, as you said, that Irida for the Lost Vacuum and another water Pokemon to be able to knock out that Registeel on the active. He could use his star portal instead of Melanie. Don't worry, he's done the opposite to what I said anyway. That Melanie just going straight for the Frost Smash and the energy attachment for that 140. But it could have been a position where he used his V-Star power early while getting Irida for the Lost Vacuum, being able to get them through that Registeel in an alternative direction.
Yeah, that would have worked. I wouldn't have minded that one at all. Not the way we're going here. Now we've got free energy on the Kyurem, and we've got ourselves an air balloon, and we're actually seeing a retreat here into a Palkia, and now I think we're going to see the Star Portal. This was the other way we talked about potentially doing it, using Star Portal to get the energy on Palkia, and this is an awkward one because you are opening yourself up to a return KO from Regieleki.
Of course, I think that the Star Portal here, I do like it. I think that it means that the ability has been used before, the path comes down. Obviously, the Vacuum and the Collapse Stadium, the only way to counter those. So in most matchups, Dominik is always going to win that Stadium War, 3 versus 2. The path will always come out on top. So the Star Portal allowing Palkia to get in the active and attack. But as you said, that Regieleki is going to be looking quite tasty for it.
And now the question is, I mean, if Dominik can get the last 2 Regis we need, it's Regirock and this time Registeel, then we're going to do it. We do have Path to the Peak coming down, much less impactful than it would have been last term. And now it's, as we see so often with the Regi decks, can you get the last couple Regis? Because if you can, things are looking tasty. Yeah, Regirock we've got, and is that a Quick Ball I saw? Yes, we got Regirock and Quick Ball, so Dominik has actually got a very easy route here. Could even discard that Twin Energy with Quick Ball if he so desired.
Yeah, I think the other really cool thing as well is that speed energy coming to hand as well. As you were mentioning earlier, Regieleki has its own energy to play with, drawing 2 cards when attached, and obviously offering that electric attack cost. However, 1 Aurora in the discard, able to come out with Regigigas, and then of course you can attach whatever energy you want on the end of that to be able to fulfill that great attack cost. Yeah,
we do see the Twin Energy coming down with the Quick Ball here. And that's one of the cool things about Speed Energy in this particular deck. Because when you got the combo going, you really just attaching from the discard, you can afford sometimes to just attach Speed Lightning Energy to Regieleki, even if you're not really planning to attack, just to get the extra draw, because Regigigas is getting those cards out you discard to pay the attack cost.
Of course, that extra draw in Regis, we said that Regidrago really the only access to onboard draw, so the Speed Energy, especially if you've got multiple attackers already set up, those extra 2 cards can sometimes be exactly what you need.
Yeah, these gimmick decks we've seen quite a lot, and I say that with love. They don't always work, and when they don't work, the #1 reason is generally lack of a viable draw engine. So what we got here with the Regidrago, the Regigigas, and even that Speed Lightning Energy, it can make a real big difference. Now here is a Trekking Shoes.
Oh, wow, that Aurora energy.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Lovely.
And hit a Quick Ball for next turn.
Beautiful. That was, if he could paint a picture, I'm sure that's the one he would have wanted. The Quick Ball in hand, able to recover any losses he takes this turn. And of course, that Aurora energy to fulfill the attack cost. Twin Energy and the Gift Energy as well. Great. He knows he's going to be able to get the extra draw from this attack, discarding the 2 energy, taking knockout on this Palkia, and putting the damage on, what do we see? The Empoleon and the Kyurem.
That was just absolutely stunning. I love that play. That was just, that entire turn from Dominik, that was pretty much a best case scenario. Getting the KO, getting your board full of Regis, and having yourself set up in a really good position, because a Regi goes down and you've still got a Quick Ball to get whatever you need next turn. And it's just setting up. This is exactly what Dominik wanted. Now, we are late in the game, let's be clear. We have got exactly 2 prizes. You've got 2 minutes remaining. Now, the good news for Dominik is you get 2 turns. So Dominik basically here is thinking, I need 2 KOs. There aren't 2 obvious KOs on the board, though. That Kyurem is hard to KO with a Reggie deck. The Empoleon's an obvious 2 prizes. But as we know, Dominik is choosing to play absolutely no gusting whatsoever. So if Arthur wants to try and keep this as a tie, that does give an advantage because now we don't know how much Arthur's cottoned on, but it does come a point when you go, hang on a second, my opponent's played no gusting at all yet.
Yeah, you can definitely play a game of hide and seek then, just risking. I haven't seen any yet, so it might be one, it might be none. I'm just going to hide back here and hope that my opponent doesn't have it. And we go over to Arthur's turn now. On the back of Dominik's really strong turn, Arthur's going to be looking, as he said, to establish a bit of a board where he feels safe to either go ahead and take the win or the draw. It's unlikely for him to be able to take the win here. We've got about 1.5 minutes left and be able to get through 5 prizes in that time for Pelkey. It's going to be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, you basically need to take, because you can't get a double KO with Radiant Greninja because of the high HP of the Reggies, you're basically talking 5 attacks. Realistically, Arthur's got this turn and 2 more. If Arthur's not turn 0, he will get turn 1 and 3. So that gives this turn and 2 more. So you can take 3 prizes. You're 2 away from winning. Dominik has a chance to stop this ending in a tie. I still don't know. I don't know where the 4 prizes come from with Dominik, and especially with no Gust to really hunt down the Palkia here, I do think we are headed into a tie.
I think this is a really interesting talking about it. It makes you think that obviously Dominik is 6-0 so far, obviously playing really well today. The deck has been running, he's beaten his matchups. But no, boss, I can see a number of ways, as you're saying, for Dominik to win the game with Arthur's bench the way that it is. Obviously, Regilecki being able to gust out that Empoleon and knock out. Regirock even hitting for weakness on the Crobat, but all of those require gusting outs. Yeah. So I'm still finding it a little bit strange he doesn't play any. I'd be really interested to find out why.
Yeah, that would be an interesting conversation to have. Of course, that Regirock on the Crobat would be those last 2 prizes, but it's all moot. If Dominik could boss 2 turns in a row here, and Dominik will get 2 turns, then you got the guaranteed win, but that's not going to happen. Arthur could feed them to him, but I don't think that's necessarily something Arthur's going to do, if I'm honest with you.
Oh, I don't know. If it was me, I personally wouldn't. Maybe Arthur's up for a little more games today and a little bit more pressure getting into day 2. But the training court does come down, and we see him use that, putting the energy in hand. The Greninja has been used this turn as well. And it's looking like at the minute it's just sort of an attachment to Kyurem, and the knockout is sort of what we're looking here on Arthur's side of the board. There's not too much else he can do after already using Starport, and that's exactly what we see. And Dominik loving it for the first time this game. We see the gift energy activate.
Yeah, drawing to
only for 1 this time though.
Oh, but still, you get to draw a card. That's better than no cards. And now it's kind of an interesting one. Arthur's got 1 turn remaining. It should be that Arthur was turn 0. Dominik should be turn 1, assuming our timer is correct. So Dominik's got this turn and another. A 2 prize KO on each turn would give Dominik the win. Arthur can't win the game now. There's no way Arthur's taking 4 prizes. So it really comes down to, can Dominik take a KO the next 2 turns? And I'm honestly not sure that Dominik can, not without any gusting.
So I'm looking now, and the Kyurem is in the active currently. 4 damage counters on it. Regidrago 160 base damage with a band 190. Perfect mass. 230 damage, 220 on the Kyurem. So that's prize number 1 and 2 down. But then it all comes to a point to where if Arthur was to put anything in the active that Dominik then couldn't knock out, he's not going to be able to take those last 2. So as he said, it depends on whether Arthur plays that properly or whether he feeds in the prizes.
I mean, if I'm Arthur and I'm going into my opponent being turned free, I'm just putting a single prize Pokemon active, knowing that my opponent, or at least heavily suspecting they don't have the gusting, force them to have the gusting. If I know I can't win, it's all down to not losing. So then it just becomes, what can't my opponent KO? Maybe you put the Kyurem up there. That is a possibility, but I think more often than not, you just give them the 1 prize, so you're forcing them to have gusting because, oh no, you can take 1 prize, nobody cares, that doesn't win you the game. And because we're not in Top Cut, completed games only. Incomplete games do not count. If you're in Top Cup, the rules are different because we have to have a winner. But ties are absolutely permissible in Swiss, so it's really simple. If a player achieves a win condition, they win the game. If a player does not achieve a win condition, the game doesn't count. And if each player has won 1 game and the 3rd game doesn't count, then we have a tie.
Yeah, and I think, as we mentioned before, the tie not the worst thing in the world for either of these players. They'll be happy to have made day 2, but I think future them, as we were discussing at the start of the round, will be a lot happier with them if they go on and get a couple more wins by the end of the day and hopefully go into day 2 with a higher record, allowing them to maybe access top 8.
Yeah, I have cut into day 2 as a like 29 out of 32 before, and I managed to get into top 8 by going 4-0 in the first 4 games of day 2. That is a lot of stress. You don't want to do that. Sorry, that sounded like a real boast, and I wasn't meant to. My point is, if you are one of the lower seeds as I was, you've basically got to have a near flawless run in day 2 to get into top 8, because there's going to be, I don't know, 40 odd players or more in day 2, and we're cutting down to a top 8. So every point is huge here. Now,
no band on the hit.
Oh, no band. That means we're going to end in a tie.
I think that destroys the dreams that we were talking about, getting those 2 prizes this turn on the Kyurem and then being able to seek them out after. The Marnie didn't draw him exactly what he wanted off of that. He's hoping that he's put Arthur in a position where he hasn't got the cards, but at the end of the day, Arthur's going to take this turn easy. He's just going to make it so that he fully believes that Dominik can't take any more prizes this game, and he's not able to win it. That already seems the board state, but I think Arthur's going to try and solidify that even further.
And it's a bit annoying. We're in that situation again where I really want to see how this shapes out. Is this shaping up to be a very interesting game 3?
And it's a tie.
It is a tie, unfortunately. There's nothing can be done. There is nowhere. This game was not going to finish in the next 5 minutes. We're looking at 10, 15 minutes of back and forth. It probably would have been a very interesting game. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be.